to talk about On3's top 25 coaching list. It's a very solid list, but we still have to react to it because there's a little bit of prisoner of the moment there that we got to talk about. And we got to talk about the cost of a national championship because Ohio State is losing coaches all over the place, but this is not uncommon. And Nebraska and Matt Rule are thinking about doing the unthinkable, canceling their spring game because they are scared of the transfer portal. Reaction to that as well. And I got a PSA to all football parents that you do not want to miss here on the Unafraid Show. Make sure that you like, subscribe, get notifications, and tell a friend about the show. And most importantly, share. Let's get to it. All right, let's get to it. The top 25 coaches list. Now, I literally had a physical reaction when I watched some of these names because some of them were absolutely perfect. And some of them I was like, come on now, fam. Y'all got to do a little bit better than this. So here is the list. Now, I did not mind at all. Did not mind Kirby Smart at one. I think that that's where the man belongs. Ryan Day at two, just won a national championship. No complaints there. Dan Lanning at three could be a little bit high, maybe, but there's other things that have happened that have lowered other people down. But I didn't really have a problem. So you got Sark at four, Marcus Freeman at five, and then my first reaction was at Dabo Swinney at six because I was like, hold on, ain't no way they got a multiple time national championship coach at number six. I was like, okay, hold up. This is a little bit of prisoner of the moment. But when I overall looked at the list, I was like, hold up, there is a little bit of projection there because you got Marcus Freeman, Dan Lanning, 3 years in, and all of this stuff. So there is a little bit of prisoner of the moment. And when you get to Dabo Swinney, I was like, no, hell no, you can't have him at six. Ain't nobody on this list got more championships than him except Kirby Smart. But then I figured out why he's sitting at number six because of his late adaptation to the transfer portal. And I believe that that is somewhat fair because you're like, hold on, you've done a good job in the way college football was, but now college football is something completely different. And this is the first year that they've even gone into the portal. So will Dabo Swinney then go back up the list? Because yes, he's still a very good coach. But if you can't adapt to the current situation, that makes you a dinosaur and you don't deserve to be in the top five at that point in time. So we'll see on Dabo. Deion Sanders at number seven. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. Do I believe Deion Sanders has done a great job? Yes. But it's too small of a sample size. You got a 4-win season, and then you're going on with a 9-win season. Now, he's at number seven without a conference championship or a major bowl appearance, let alone a win. It's too small of a sample size. To have him in front of the man who's right behind him in Mr. Kyle Whittingham over there at Utah. That I cannot stand for because he is the definition of how you develop players, build a program. But why wouldn't he be higher? Is because he also has not been able to recruit at the highest level that you would want a coach to recruit at. And that's the thing. Even though Kyle Whittingham has done an amazing job, he's one of the legends of coaching, respect everything about his game. Hard to put him too high on this list because you do have to win some of those Rose Bowls. You do have to be able to recruit at the highest level. That way you can compete for a national championship. And he hasn't been able to compete for a national championship yet, even though he ushered Utah into the Pac 12, got him to be a power in the Pac 12, and we're going to see what he does in the Big 12. Now, this is another one that I hated, is you have Kenny Dillingham sitting behind Mario Cristobal and Kurt Singeti at number 13. Hated it. And Mario Cristobal has done a good job recruiting down at Miami, but they have underachieved versus their expectations. And Kurt Singeti over at Indiana, he's done it once at Indiana. Did it, yes, at James Madison, but only done it once at Indiana. Nobody expected what Kenny Dillingham has done at Arizona State. Yes, it's only 2 years in, but we're sitting here like, bro, what else do you want the man to do? And he's proven that he's a good play caller, good coordinator, good leader of men, recruiting well, sends players out the right way. I didn't really like him behind those two guys, but we're splitting hairs at those points. But then when I got to number 15, I wanted to be mad. I was looking at James Franklin standing right there, and I was like, what the hell is wrong with y'all? Putting James Franklin, Mr. 10 wins a year, all of that at number 15. Like, how could that be? But then I was like, he's got an absolute big. And remember, we're sort of prisoners of the moment because Penn State won 2 games in the college football playoff in this 12-team playoff this year. So, but then you got to remember his abysmal record versus top 5 and top 10 teams. I was like, it's weird because the level of achievement doesn't necessarily match what I think about James Franklin. And you guys can hop in the comments. Have you disagreed with any of these so far? Where would you put any of these guys? Go ahead, beat it up in the comments, man. We'll get to it. Then you got Brian Kelly at 16. And this is a man who would have absolutely been in the top 10 when he was at Notre Dame. Absolutely. This is the man that told us when he took the LSU job, he did it because he didn't believe that Notre Dame, you could win a national championship and that he wanted to play in the SEC. He thought there was a ceiling over there. Well, the ceiling is real low right now in at LSU right now in Baton Rouge because he just ain't doing the job that everybody expected. The results aren't there yet. He said to judge you year 3, judge him year 3, and year 3 just passed, and it was not up to what his expectations were or LSU's expectations were. So I believe he's appropriately placed at this point in time. Number 17, Lane Kiffin. I want to be like, man, why the hell is Lane Kiffin on this? Man, if you don't throw whiny Lane Kiffin off this list, but Lane Kiffin is a very good head coach. But I do believe that he is lower on the list because of the whininess, because of the incessant complaining and the caping for the SEC while not winning the biggest games. Because you can do all that talking if you're doing a lot of winning. But his team didn't win the most important games this year, and a lot of it probably had to do with that he was focused on the wrong things. So that's my thought there. And then before we get to the next stop, you had Brett Bielema at 18, Sharon Moore at 19, and then you got Kirk Ferentz from Iowa over there at 20. And I was like, well, he did this to himself. He did. Because as many NFL players as he's put out, as many great defenses as Iowa has put up, as competitive as they are every single year, 9 wins, 10 wins, sometimes 11, 8, 9, like he ain't having no losing season. He is going to put out a competent team that is going to play hard, fight hard, good offensive alignment, everything in between. But he did this to himself with keeping his son on as offensive coordinator and until this last season and this commitment to run and punt football. And by run and punt football, I mean that we are playing ultra conservative, run, run, run. Oh, third down, run again, punt the football. Let's play field position and everything. Like there's no excitement for the fans. There's no aggression. And that's why he's at number 20 on this list, which is fair. They had Bill Belichick at number 21. He ain't played a snap, but he gets credits for his NFL stuff, so I'm not mad at that. But there are 2 more that we got to peep. Lincoln Riley at 22. Oh, how the young hot shot has fallen. He would have absolutely been in the top 6 or 7 when he first arrived at USC. 100%. But now no more. Now everybody is questioning how good of a coach he is. Can he build a program? Was it just him inheriting Oklahoma that led to his success? So do we still believe that Lincoln Riley's offense works? Yes. Do we still believe that that US well, are we giving him a chance? Because he figured out that defense matters. Hired an excellent defensive staff. USC's defense was better last year. So He could go from 22 to, depending on how USC goes, back into the top 10. And at number 25, this one was diabolical. Matt Campbell from Iowa State at 25. So we are going to essentially take what our man sitting at number 8, Kyle Whittingham. We are going to take him and then put him so high when you got Matt Campbell at Iowa State. The man has stayed at Iowa State. The man has developed at Iowa State. The man has been committed to Iowa State. And Iowa State literally just had their first 10-win season of all time. And we sitting here with him at 25? Absolutely not. He should be somewhere in between 12 and 15. That's where the dude has gotta be. He's playing with a stacked deck against him. He's not even the most prominent school in his state. NIL money ain't the same as everybody else, and he's had plenty of other job opportunities. And dude stays the course. Come on, man. Next up, I got a PSA to all you parents out there, and all you young athletes. Whether you're a middle school athlete, whether you're a high school athlete, here is a PSA for you that the Super Bowl is on Sunday and it's going to feature some of the best players in the world. And not all of them came out of big time college programs. Like, yes, everybody has dreams of playing at Oregon, Alabama, Michigan, North Carolina, wherever your school is. And in this Super Bowl, yes, Georgia has 5 players on the Eagles roster alone, but some of Philly's best players came out of Toledo in Quinyon Mitchell, South Dakota State in Dallas Goddard, and Middle Tennessee State in Reed Blankenship. And sure, the Chiefs have 5 players on their team from Oklahoma alone, but they also have a Hall of Fame tight end out of Cincinnati who was not a Power Five, well, Power Four school at that point in time. It was a Group of 5 school. And they have a starting safety from Cincinnati named Brian Cook, and got 6.5 sacks out of Tershawn Wharton from Missouri A&T this year, and that's 1.5 more sacks than Chris Jones gave him. So the message here is go where you can play. Do not get attached to the logo on the jersey. Go where you can play. Go for the right fit. God, I get to play at Oregon. I get to go and play at Alabama. I get to go play at Washington. I get to go play at Ohio State. If you don't get to play there, what does it matter? If it's not the right fit, what does it matter? Because all of your hopes and dreams of making it to the league and everything else can still happen, because there's the micro and then there's the macro. Like, yes, the macro, more players that go to Oregon, Oklahoma, Florida are going to go to the NFL than are players that are going to go from Central Michigan. But in the micro, there's no advantage over one player over the other. Like, your chances of going to the NFL are just as high. And that's why you go where you can play, whether it's the SEC, Big Ten, cool. But don't aspire to the highest level, aspire to the highest level of opportunity. Because if it wasn't for Mike Dana transferring out of Central Michigan to spend his senior year at Michigan, there would be the same number of players in the Super Bowl out of the University of Memphis as there are players from Michigan and Ohio State combined. So whether you use your opportunity to level up while you're still in college, or you just go to the best option available to you to get tape in front of NFL scouts, like 11-year Chiefs veteran Mike Pennell, when he went to CSU Pueblo after getting dismissed from Arizona State. Go where you are one group of 4 programs like Purdue legend George Karlaftis. That lasts forever. So don't get so attached. Oh my gosh, my life is, I didn't get to the school that I wanted to. Yeah, but that actually may be the blessing in disguise, and make the most of wherever you are. Now, I've been through this. I have a son who is at UC Davis right now. Kid is super talented and better than a lot of the kids that were in his class that were ranked in front of him. But that was the best place for him and the best place where he can play early, have good coaching, and all of this stuff out of the options that were available to him. Does that mean he won't make the NFL? No. Might he be a first round draft pick? Possibly. We'll see. But he's happy. He will be playing. The opportunity is there. And then you make your decisions from there. All right. Next thing up. When you win a national championship, you actually lose a lot. You lose a lot. Think about it like the Avengers, the scene in the Avengers where Thanos has to throw his daughter off a cliff to complete his jeweled Michael Jackson Thanos glove. Winning has a heavy cost. Former Ohio State offensive coordinator Chip Kelly is going to the Raiders, and that's after Ohio State's defensive coordinator Jim Knowles took a pay raise to go against their big rival in Penn State. And they lost other coaches. Like they're trying to rebuild this roster. They've lost players. It costs a lot. Notre Dame, who played in the national championship, they lost their defensive coordinator, Al Golden, to the Cincinnati Bengals. And last year, both national championship participants, and Washington and Michigan, both lost their head coaches. Kalen DeBoer ended up at Alabama. Jim Harbaugh went over to the Chargers. And then you got Kalen DeBoer, who ended up losing his offensive coordinator to the Seahawks, but now he's got him back after a failed experiment there. But now he's back home with Kalen DeBoer, this time just at Alabama. Look at the year before. Georgia's national championship run cost them Todd Monken, their offensive coordinator, to the Ravens. And the year before that, they lost Dan Lanning to Oregon. And then Alabama actually hung on to Pete Golding that same year, but then Charles Kelly and Bill O'Brien, well, they held on to them after losing the 2021 Natty, but only for one more year. And you had O'Brien, who only had that job because after Alabama won it all in 2020, they lost Steve Sarkisian to Texas. And then LSU in 2019, they lost their defensive coordinator, Dave Aranda, to Baylor. In addition to, they lost Joe Brady. They lost a bunch of people off that staff as well. Winning comes at a cost. And Clemson, let's look at Clemson with Dabo Swinney. They literally have not been the same since losing Jeff Scott and Tony Elliott in back-to-back seasons. They went to 6 straight CFP semifinals, made 4 national championships, won 2, and in the time since losing both of those guys, they haven't been back to a semifinal since. And the last team to make a repeat visit to the Natty after losing their offensive coordinator is 2017 Alabama with Brian Dable, who then replaced Lane Kiffin after they lost in the 2016. And then they immediately lost him to the Buffalo Bills. So, yes, Ohio State, who's lost so much, they need to prepare for a dip and not blame it on Ryan Day because it happens to everybody. To the victor go the spoils, but also to the victors go the pillaging. Because you don't get to keep everything for a long time. It just don't work that way. Because if you win, those names are going to be hot. Those names are hot. They're looking for opportunities. They want to be in the same position as Ryan Day. They want to have that, $80 million guaranteed contract. They want the $100 million contract. They want the $50 million contract, and you would too. Just saying. I mean, we were looking at Penn State to be their defensive coordinator. Ryan Day makes more than that in one single year. And that's 3 years of his contract. So, yes, they want to be in charge. They want to be the man, and it is 100% understandable. Our next thing up, Nebraska. Oh, Nebraska and Matt Rule. Oh, they scared. They scared. But is Matt Rule wrong, though? I got a solution for Matt Rule for what I'm going to tell you that he's doing that would have solved the problem. Because Matt Rule is sacrificing one of the best events in college football. the Nebraska spring football game to try and keep his players from being poached from and recruited into the transfer portal. Here's this quote: the word tampering doesn't exist anymore. It's just an absolute free, open, common market. I don't necessarily want it to be open up to the outside world and to have people watch our guys and say, hey, he looks like a pretty good player. Let's go get him. Now, last year, their spring game has 60,452 fans at Memorial Stadium, the fourth most in college football behind Ohio State, Alabama, and Penn State. And Rule last year said that last game kicked off a bunch of tampering and added, quote, to go out and bring in a bunch of new players and showcase them for all the other schools to watch doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I hate this, Matt Rule. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Number one, don't be scared. Don't be scared. And what it sounds like is that you don't want players who are going to have limit because Nebraska's not going to be limited in NIL money and because they have a huge fan base, sold out even when they sucked, everything else. So let's not try to blame it on NIL. Matt Rule is trying to keep players that are going to be depth players from being seen by other teams. That's whack to me. If players feel like that they can get a starting role sooner at a good situation, then let them be. The same way, are you going to keep your coaches from interviewing? No. Did it keep you from interviewing when you had a great job at Baylor but wanted the Carolina Panthers job? No, it did not. But the question is, does Matt Rule have another motive? Because receiver Demetrius Bell and cornerback Bly Hill, they actually got hurt in last year's spring game and missed the season. But Rule says that that's not a concern. So here is what Matt Rule should do to keep his players out of the transfer portal: move the spring game back. Move it back after the portal closes. That's what you should do. Move it after the portal closes. And you know what? You won't have that problem because then they either got to hop in before the portal, before the spring game, or they got to stick it out. If that's what you really want to do, then just move it back like a week, 2 weeks, and you'll have exactly what you want. Now, this is though the same school that packed the stadium with 92,000 fans to watch a women's volleyball game. Like, and their fans have to absolutely hate this. I hate it, and I do not believe that this is going to ultimately be a trend in college football because coaches are going to be like, "Hey, man, look, whatever it is, it's fine. If you want to hop in the portal, cool, so be it. But what we not going to do is not have our spring game, which is an exhibition for our fans, because we scared. Nah, man, that's not it. But you guys, though, we still got so much to go always here on Unafraid Show. Make sure that you like, subscribe, get notifications, and tell a friend. Hop in them comments about it because Tuesday is the live day. Thursday is college football. On Wednesday, it is Unafraid Show Daily Live, where we got all sorts of stuff cooking up. And we got a new segment. What's Dad cooking up? Because your boy is at it. So you got to see these childrens and the food and everything else. You guys, I'm George Wrighster. This is Unafraid Show. We got to talk about everything. Peace out.